whenever you're ready.
Hello, my name is Taylor Stamps, and I grew up in Collierville, Tennessee. My home was listed on Main Street. My folks were in the automobile business, or rather I should say they were in the garage business. They had an automobile repair shop, and this was during the war. And it was coming out of the Depression. Times were getting better, and we lived above the garage. And in 1944, the building burned, and we were out without a garage, a business, a house, the whole 9 yards. I ended up in Main Street with a bottom pair of pajamas on. That was all I had to my name. The good people of Collierville came together and took up a collection and put the Stamps people back on their feet. They gave us clothes, money, food, anything that we needed to get started over. We rented a house and moved into the house. It was still on Main Street. The garage was located at 127 North Main, and today there's an Army surplus store in that same location. My best buddies was James Richard Treadwell. His dad was a merchant on the square. My other best buddy was Liesl Harris. He is the world-renowned rodeo clown, and he and I have coffee every morning today. I had coffee with him this morning. Those two guys and myself made up the three. We got into a lot of mischief. We played pranks. We played football, baseball, roller skated, and during Halloween was our best time of the year. We would soap the windows of the merchants on the square and watch them wash them off in the morning. Cotton time came, they put the cotton bales on the platform at the railroad, and at night we would go up and move them around, make forts out of them, climb on top of them, and they had tags: who bought the cotton, who owned the cotton, and where the cotton was going to go. Next morning the train comes in, the tags are all laying on the ground. We didn't knock them off intentionally, they just fell off, and it was pure chaos. Nobody knew where the cotton, who belonged to who, didn't know where it was going, and of course we caught hell on that one. But anyway, let's see, growing up, my dad, after the war, we got into the automobile business, and Collierville was a small town, and I was driving cars at 10 years old. My job was to get them from across the lot across the street into the garage, and that's where I learned to drive. I went on record calls. In process of growing up, I worked at a funeral home. I carried the U.S. mail. I sold cemetery lots, sold cars, new and used, and sold real estate. I was a jack of all trades, and it paid off later in life. When I was in high school, I still was in a little mischief when I was in grammar school, really, and I got sent off to a military school. And I spent 4 years at Columbia Military Academy, which they straightened me out, straightened me up. And then I came home, and I was a better citizen. Collierville is a wonderful place to live in. People will take care of you. If you're in need, they'll come to your rescue. It's a great place to live. And growing up, every kid had a dog. The dog was the best friend. My dog was a hound dog, just a plain old ordinary hound dog, red in color, dark red. His face was so solemn that I named him Judge. And every day, Judge would come up to the shop, and we would walk around to the back end of the grocery stores and go in the butcher shop and go through the dog bone. Back then, the butchers cut all the meat and they took the bones and threw them in a box called the dog box. Well, Judge and I would go through the dog box and we'd find a pretty nice bone, and he was supposed to take it home, which I lived right around the corner on Poplar. Well, the funeral home was between us, the shop, and the house. And the funeral home had nice shade trees. Well, one day, Mr. Hutton, who owned the funeral home, came running in the front door of the shop, and he said, "Taylor," he said, "get your rake and come up and rake my front yard at the funeral home." And I said, "Mr. Hutton, why do I want to do that?" He said, "Because your dog brings his bones up there in the funeral home. He eats the meat off of them, but he leaves the bones in the front yard, and that is bad for business."